Hey, good morning everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss, with your analysis for July 8th, 2016. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. The non-farm payrolls number was just released, up 287,000, jobless rate 4.9%. So that news is just now coming out right here. Basically what we have is much of what we talked about to begin the week, that we would likely stay in this zone and trade and chop back and forth between 2110 and 2065s, and for the most part we did just that. Right now we're testing prices into 2104, 2106, and I would say that if there's any rejection of prices above 2104.75, that could lead to a reversal across the range back toward 2070, so that's something to keep in mind. Obviously we have price returning back toward recent highs. Any rejection of prices above this zone right here, very similar to what we've seen here recently, no matter how it looks, any of these rejections up here could easily lead to another swing move back downward within the range, and perhaps even all the way into the LVN down below as this thing continues to ripple outward. If we take a look at the intraday time frame for the ES here, one thing we'll be looking for here is how does price respond again around that 2104, 2105 level. Right now we have price pushing higher on that non-farm payroll number and then finding a high at 2108.75. That's going to be important right now. If price cannot get back above that zone, we could be looking at a slow, steady continuation back toward value. We have value at 2096, followed by a push back against the range into 2088. Which is the next key level down as well. If we take a look at crude oil right now, let's bring that up. All right, here's crude oil. We'll bring this into a higher time frame, a daily time frame. One thing we talked about here in the previous session was how was price going to respond around 45.91. Well, when there was a big rejection up here at 48, started to push lower, we thought, man, there could be another test at 45.91, and if price cannot hold that zone, the next level down is going to be 43.03, and then you have 40 evens down below that, so 40.15s. So this is a big time implication right here, holding below 45.91, closing below it, and then here, pre-market, you can see price coming into that level and being denied initially. So right there, that's exactly what you would look for if you're a bear. You want price to close below the significant support level, and then when price comes into that level from below, you want to defend it for a shot at looking at further weakness ahead. So right now, that is the pivot to watch, 45.91. Bears want to defend it for a continuation into 43.03 and perhaps 40.15 over the next week. Any failure to hold below this zone right here would indicate trapped bears, and if price pops back above 45.91, there could be a quick move back toward 48.79. So right now, 45.91, the most important level right now in crude. Bears are defending it for a shot at 43.03. Jumping into the intraday time frame for crude oil, we see right here that price basically holding on these lows after dropping down below. You can see 45.91 right here comes across. Price pushed down below it and is now forming this tight range. So anytime you form a tight range like this, if you're not getting paid, if bears are not getting paid below the support, there is a tendency for these late sellers here to have their stops run and this thing come back. That's why I mentioned 45.91 is the key pivot. Bears want to defend it for a move lower, but any failure to do so will run the stops of all these bears, and now you can see a move all the way back up toward 47.60 and perhaps beyond. All right, let's take a look now at gold futures. So right now in a higher time frame in gold, the key pivot that we were watching, especially in the trading room, was 13.62.5, this level right here. That's the top of the impulse range. You got the pullback, and then right here, I mentioned that if there was any rejection of prices above that zone, and if price cannot hold, then you could be looking at a quick move back toward 1306 to 1307. And for the most part, price closed below 13.62.5, but it was very close. And then here in overnight trading, another lower high for the day, another lower low for the day, and price continued to push downward. So very, very weak here in gold, at least short term. Pullbacks have been buying opportunities, so that's something to keep in mind. So this next pullback could be seen as a buying opportunity for the further squeeze, but we have to note if it's going to happen off of 1340, or is price going to have to auction all the way back to 1306 to find buyers. One of those zones here could show some strength, but again, failure to get back above 1362s could lead to a move across the range into 1307, and that could be the next point to buy and bring it back across the range. All right, let's take a look at the NQ lastly. Here's the NQ. Basically, this one right here, pushing higher, quietly higher, especially after NFP, but still for the most part staying in the range that we talked about, right? This was the range before Brexit, and this is kind of where we came back to after Brexit, saw the sell-off and the bounce back. So this is still a zone here, 4,500 down to about 4,350, clear area to watch. Any failure to get above 4,500 could rotate prices right back into 4,350 and value at 4,328. Anything above 45s starts to test these recent highs, which again, we've seen some clear rejection off those highs here recently to varying degrees, so we'll be watching for the same type of signals. But for right now, 4,500 is going to be something to watch here. Any failure to get above that zone could rotate prices back down just a little bit as we stay mostly in the range ahead of the upcoming week of trading. Now if we drop into the lower time frame, just briefly here, you can see prices pushing higher after the news here with the one big bump up to, boom, into 44.81s. Now we're pulling back a little bit. The 44.65 is a little bit of a pivot here. Bulls want to defend it for a shot at higher highs. Any failure to hold above 44.65 rotates prices back to 44.44. We do have, for the most part, value is going to be 44.60, 44.36, but anything below 44.30 here has an LVN down below, and that's an important level, 44.10 if you recall. So 44.10 was our key level here. We had this big range. It broke to the upside and reached our targets here. Any pullback to 44.10 should still be considered a buying opportunity for swing bulls. So any move back here could be a great buying opportunity should we get that low. I'm not sure we'll get that low here today, but that could be something to watch for the upcoming week as well. All right, that's it for now. Let's see how this thing plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and happy Friday.